With Splatoon 3 ending the current generation of Splatoon, it definitely means that this DLC is going to tie in everything that we've learned all the way to this point. This DLC is very big and it could mean everything for the entire franchise that we've known and loved. And we just got a brand new trailer showing off this DLC. And exactly what does it mean? Well, I'm here to explain it to you today. This year marks 8 years since Splatoon originally came out on the Wii U, and Splatoon 3 is seeing the end to the current story and lore that we've had within Splatoon, which means that probably Splatoon 4 is going to be something completely different, in a completely new place with completely new people, and a completely new story. But Splatoon 3's wave of DLC coming is so important because it's the last thing that we'll see of this current Splatoon story arc. It's the last thing that we'll remember as we move forward with a new group of Inklings and probably Octolings and characters in another location. So that's why this DLC is so important. But the question is, what is it that we saw during that Nintendo Direct? Like I said, it seems like they're trying to wrap up this entire series in one fellow swoop, because that first wave, I don't think it's just Inkopolis Plaza for no reason. It seems like they're trying to harness back at our nostalgia because it's going to be something to tie into the campaign as well, or this big DLC campaign we're expecting. Something to kind of wrap everything that we've done in our past up in one clean bow. I mean, we even have some of Inkopolis Square being shown off, as we see Wave 2 being the main chunk of DLC called Side Order. That takes us right back to Splatoon 2. So we have Splatoon 1 and 2 covered here in the Splatoon 3 game, which they're all here for a reason. Once again, the devs have stated that Splatoon 3 is the end of the current story arc with the trilogy of Splatoon 1, 2, and 3, which probably means that we'll be moving to a completely new story, like I previously stated. This could maybe take us back through past stages or remixes of past stages and bosses that we have fought in a sort of gauntlet mode. Imagine having a side mode where we could go back and fight every single boss we've ever fought within Splatoon. I know I'm jumping ahead to predictions already, but I thought I'd just bring that up since this does seem like we're reminiscing on all the past things within this current trilogy of Splatoon games. But let's dive back into that trailer and talk about some theories that I've read online and some stuff that might conclude to what this story is about. There's a theory that comes from Pufu on Twitter that talks about the coral that's spread out all over this Inkopolis Plaza now, and it's all bleached in white everywhere. This might be due to coral bleaching, where rising temperatures can cause coral to lose their color. But it's not just coral that's losing its color here, it's the entirety of Inkopolis Square, and including this Octoling that's standing in the middle of the square. Everything is coated in this pale white, and there's coral sprouted all over the place, and this was not there originally. So maybe the story could actually be about coral and it has a tie into why it's turning everything white, and there's a reasoning behind all of it, but I'm not quite sure. Because also notice that it's snowing down softly and there's lots of snow all over the ground already, just kind of giving more of that white tint. So I think this could be a metaphor or maybe a dream that this Octoling is in, and I have more explanation for why I think that. We haven't seen Agent 8 since the Octo expansion, so it's been a long time. We've been hanging out with Agent 3 and even the new Agent 3, but we don't know what ever happened to Agent 8 once they escaped the subway metro. This character actually perfectly matches the Agent 8 Nintendo used for the Octo expansion promo art in this trailer, so I actually think it's the exact same Octoling, this time just with their hair dyed black and in all white clothes. Based on some of these images that flash up on the screen, it seems like Agent 8 is going through some type of internal struggle, probably with being an Octarian soldier. After all, we never got back the memories of what happened in their past, so maybe the story is based on flashback stories of what Agent 8 actually went through as an Octoling soldier. Something else we know about Coral is that Coral can clone itself, and this translates directly to a screenshot where we see clones of Agent 8. We have seen clones in many different missions throughout Splatoon 1 and 2, where Agent 3 had to wipe them out in different missions so that way he could clear the stage. So maybe we get to learn more about this Agent 8 struggle with also having clones of themselves and also working with them. In Splatoon 2, we can even see black-haired clones, so maybe this is kind of the vibe that this Octoling is trying to go after. Not to mention the clones still existed within Splatoon 3, but just were corrupted by the fuzzy ooze. But this was still part of DJ Octavio's army. So what if the story was about Agent 8 going back and stopping everything that DJ Octavio has started? One thing I thought of is maybe we could go back and play through missions based on our memories, based on what we did back when we were soldiers, and also missions based on a current objective. It's kind of like current missions and also flashback missions we can play, which would be really cool. Maybe we finally get to relive moments to find out exactly what happened to Agent 8 to put them within the deep sea metro unconscious for Captain Cuttlefish to find. We have tons of weird images that pop up during this trailer, and they pop up so quick you probably weren't able to see each one, but I got every single one here for you, and I also organized them based on the type of picture that it was. For instance, this first set I just labeled as unknown marks, because they're just weird markings like ink markings on a piece of paper, and I can't really make out what any of this is. You can see this one resembles octopus tentacles, and I don't know why. Is it relating to the Octarian army or Agent 8? It's not quite sure. But this one is actually kind of interesting to me, because if you flip it and look closely, it looks like a head with an eye and a mouth with teeth. I'm not quite sure if I'm actually seeing things here or not, but it definitely looks like a creepy looking fish, and I'll get back to this later. There's also images that look like neurons firing off in a brain, or different type of nerve systems moving around in some type of plasmic goo. I really don't know what this is supposed to resemble, and there's also a picture that looks exactly like a brain. So maybe this is showing once again that internal struggle that Agent 8 is having based on their past and trying to remember what happened, and maybe that's why they're giving us this imagery. Or maybe this has nothing to do with the brain at all, and maybe it's just relating once again back to the coral. Or maybe, just maybe, the coral is also a metaphor for the brain and for the nerve systems and for the internal struggle of Agent 8. Because her mind is just like the coral in the world, a clean, white, blank slate. Agent 8 is shown sitting and pondering a lot of the time, and also just reflecting on herself. There's even images where she's literally looking in a mirror back at herself, and also just standing thinking while sitting in an elevator. There seems to be a lot of images of elevators, and there's even one image that actually has coral in the corner of one of the elevators. So maybe this is how we get from mission to mission, because if you ask me, this door in Inkopolis Square is brand new, which might mean this is where we need to go in order to start our missions. And maybe it works the same way as the Deep Sea Metro, allowing us to choose missions based on different floors that we get to go up. But once again, a lot of the images is just Agent 8 sitting and thinking and walking this road alone. They always seem to be alone in almost every single picture. I mean, we know that there is going to be the inclusion of Pearl and Marina in some big way, but right now it just shows them alone in thought, processing what's going on around them. Now here's a couple images that might actually show what's going on within these missions. Here's a room full of coral once again in different sized platforms, with Agent 8 standing on one of them. It does look like we'll be playing through obstacle courses floating in the sky again, which is whatever how you take it. But at the end of the day, this definitely looks like it has a different approach. It looks more modern and all white still, which is going to be definitely different and probably interesting to see ink painted all over a white room. And then we have an image of Agent 8 in complete gear. We got a brand new splatter shot, which looks a lot different now, and we also have some type of grenade, bomb, or speaker thing in her other hand. It's really hard to tell, but there also seems to be some type of cell phone device on her hip, maybe to communicate with Pearl Marina. Maybe Pearl Marina is her guide through these missions, the same way we've had Callie and Marie. However, we do have waterbrush pictures of both of these characters. This first one is both Pearl and Marina, and something is going on. They seem to be wearing all white outfits as well, and Pearl is holding some type of orb or fruit or something in her hand, where Marina is holding something that looks like a megaphone or some type of new pistol handgun. It's not quite possible to make out right now, but I don't know, I'm spitballing here. Then we have colored images of both of these characters individually, where Marina is looking out at the horizon for some reason, and it doesn't really give us any other context, and Pearl is looking down at the camera from Ecopolis Square, which once again, everything's still all white, so it's very possible they'll be helping us in some way. But if you notice, they're both wearing their outfits that they just wore to perform for their brand new joined band, the Damp Socks, which is very interesting. So this shows even if we are going to have flashback missions of the past, we still are going to be in the present. There's two more images that I want to talk about that home a lot deeper meanings. For instance, this one with Agent 8 staring off in the background at these giant black spikes. A lot of people have brought it to my attention that these black spikes actually mean something in the real world. These spikes are a form of nuclear waste warning messages to deter human intrusion within or above 10,000 years. And of course, Splatoon series is based off of 12,000 year gap since humans were alive. This could just be a metaphor for something, or this could mean that we will actually get more information about what's happened to the humans. It's always good to get more information and see more things back then, and seeing like a field of nuclear warning spikes would definitely be creepy, but also add to the lore. I know this sounds pretty insane to say, but I love seeing the different elements of the fallout from the various different wars that humans had on Earth. It's very interesting to me. But this last image is what captures me the most. It's this creepy skeletal looking fish. It's all blacked out and it has red beady eyes. And there's something about this fish, as it was one of the very last images that we got to see during the showcase. And to me, this looks like this could possibly be the main antagonist they're trying to hint at. Some type of new creepy inked fish that is leaving ink everywhere. And let me explain what I mean, because there's hints at this all throughout the trailer. Within this world coated in white, there's also black ink everywhere. And it's funny because this is a game about inklings and octolings, which are squids and octopus. And you're supposed to see black ink from them, right? Not colored ink. This might be the first time we see a creature or an enemy use black ink. Don't take my word for it. Look at some of these images. This is a room full of white coral, but also bleached with this black ink and spots of black ink all over the floor. And on this image, there's black ink seeping from underneath the giant elevator door entrance. In this image, Agent 8 is actually sitting on a puddle of that black ink, and there seems to be even more in the background back behind her. This could just be a stylized choice of colors for this picture, but it looks like the whole entire room was white, but the platforms that Agent 8 is on are all painted within this black ink. Looking up at the window on the wall on the right side of the room, there's even black ink seeping from the windowsill itself. And maybe that's the point of the giant black stakes as well. They're not there as nuclear deterrents anymore, but actually as a way of spreading all this black ink, because it looks like there are pools of black ink all beneath these things, and maybe it's our job to take out these stakes in each level. Which once again brings me back to one of those first pictures, is what if this is the fish that we see? I mean, they kind of, in a way, look similar, or maybe some type of new creepy fish enemy that we have to go against. But of course, this brings me back to the black ink fish with the red eye. What is this thing? Who is this, and is this actually the main antagonist that's spreading all this black ink? As far as the rest of the trailer goes, there's not much more to point out. Everything else is pretty much the same, just coated in white, besides the obvious lobby tower area, where now it's replaced with more of a fancy looking doorway. And the only other thing is this school of fish that swims by Agent 8, spreads apart, and then swims away. On closer inspection, these aren't really fish at all, but they're like strands of curled up paper that are flying around that look like schools of fish. And it's like a stylized approach that Nintendo took with these things, and they're supposed to act like a school of fish, but they're not really fish. If I had to make a final conclusion as to what I think this DLC is going to be about, I think the DLC is going to be about finding Agent 8 and finding themselves by going back and forth between their current missions and memories of their past missions that we can also play through. It'd be really cool to also progress through a new story, but also have those flashback memories that we get to piece back together, because it's one of the storylines we really don't know about. I mean, we also don't know where the heck Agent 4 is after everything that's happened in Splatoon 2, because he just seemed to got replaced completely, but still, we would love to know more about Agent 8. Maybe we have to go back to our home and help the Octarians and DJ Octavio from a new threat, because I can already see them having some type of new creature putting black ink on everything and corrupting them, which means we're gonna have to kill the same exact Octarians, but just corrupted in black ink this time. It's just happened way too many times. But Agent 8 must go back to these locations that she remembers, and she starts to gain her memory back from that way, bringing back her memory, but also bringing back haunting memories from her dark past as an Octarian soldier. This could also be the Octarian/Octavio redemption arc. I know Octavio already seems to be kind of good now and in good terms with the Inklings as he helped them at the end of Splatoon 3, but he just did it to kind of save the world so that way he could take over again. But maybe all it takes is Agent 8 to help turn them around and right all of his wrongs. Maybe in the beginning she was working underneath him and decided to escape and turn on all the Octarians because of the evil that they were committing, and this time she kind of remembers everything, but she also must go back and save and return to her homelands, which is also going to be mentally frustrating for her, but also helping as she's able to kind of convert the Octarians to the hero side. I mean, after all, if they are being attacked by something, we should definitely go help, because if DJ Octavio helped the Inklings, then we should be able to help DJ Octavio in return. So this DLC is going to be interesting regardless. It's going to be a journey of the past, the present, and securing the future, wrapping up all the games and putting a close to the stories we know and love.